Hi guys, I'm trying to fix this. I just wanted to get on here and talk to you a little bit about my past. Again, bringing some clarity to what's going on with my life. Basically, I label myself as a star seed, and a lot of you wonder why. Well, I had an incident back in 1990. We had a log cabin out in the woods, and we had just finished remodeling this log cabin, and we were looking out in the front yard. We lived in the middle of a wildlife refuge, and it was right at sunset. Well, actually, it was after sunset. It was at dark. We were looking out the window, our bay window, my late husband and I, and we saw this huge comet come out of the sky. It was like this ball of light. It looked like it was about 20 miles out. Didn't look like it was too far away, but it was huge. And we both at the same time turned around and looked at each other like, did you see that? And the next day he went out and tried to look for it and didn't find anything. But that night I had the weirdest dream. I had a dream that my mother came to me. She had passed away several years ago, before that, many years before that. And she was standing at the foot of my bed, and I remember sitting up in bed like she was there for real. And I said, "Mom?" And she said, "No, I'm Nancy's mother," which is my second sister, older sister. And I just looked at her funny, and she said, she didn't really say anything after that. I just looked at her funny, and then I fell back asleep like she didn't know me. It was just, and I mean, we were never really close, but I laid back down and fell back asleep, and the next morning when I woke up, I was all black and blue, like all over my arms, like someone had beat me up. And that was the night I had a walk-in. It wasn't my mom. It was an entity. Actually, it was the contract that I had signed with Source many years before that, is what was told to me, that I would change places. And how I know that is because when I was asked to go to Israel, in my previous story that I had put online about that whole thing, I knew I wasn't coming back. I knew I was going somewhere that I knew I wasn't going to be able to come back. And I've been black and blue before, and a lot of times I've been black and blue because I've had attacks from Dark Lord, and I have had some pretty heavy run-ins before, and so basically I was used to that in a way. Just it was kind of normal for me because I've had it off and on throughout all my life. I was really into exorcism and helping people with demonic things and stuff like that. I mean, elders from churches would come out to visit me, and it was all so weird. It was like they come in the middle of the night. They come like at midnight, and my husband, I would have to have him be with me because these were men that were coming out to my house and wanting me to, exorcise them for their demons. And I couldn't do it as a woman, again, with a man alone. It was just not, I just knew I wasn't supposed to do that. So I would have him like have proxy, do proxy and be there, and I would do all the praying and the conjuring, but basically, yeah, that day after I saw that, I knew something in me changed, because when Source told me to that I was going to go to Israel and stuff, that it was what I needed to do, that I wasn't coming back, and I know that I couldn't have had the strength to do that without being somebody different. And so I know this thing came forth and took over, basically. And that's how I know I'm a Syrian starseed. And I'll tell you a little bit about Sirius B. It's like the most funnest planet in the galaxy. All the galactics like to go there because we are big dancers. We're like the big party planet. Everybody knows us as the big party planet. And we basically, we dance. We like to dance. That's why I guess I like to dance a lot. It just, when I hear music, it just takes me over. And so it's kind of like my power, sort of, because I just feel this surge of energy and Source so close to me, and I just feel, I feel everything around me just moving, and I feel all the angels and all the galactics with me. They're always dancing. But when I dance and when I hear music, I can really feel the presence very strong. So basically, what happens on Planet SiriusB is that we're like the big party planet. So everybody likes to go there, and then there'd be these like really old, like these ogres come in, and they're like, come in, and they're just like really mean, and everybody's like, oh my God, it's so and so, and I'm like going, oh, leave them alone, they're gonna be fine, they're fine. And what happens is when they come to the planet, they can't help but start dancing. They come in like they're gonna attack, and when they get there, they can't help but to start dancing because the vibe is so high. And so that's what we do on Planet SiriusB. We're like the big partiers. We're known as the happy planet, basically. And then when I was given that word from my late husband before he passed away, of please be happy, please be happy, it was like everything just kind of fell into sync, like reminding me of what I am and where I've been, and I made a contract with this entity that it would take over my avatar, and that we would trade out, and basically either we traded out or we became more like one, but it's been that way. So it's been a really good thing in the sense that the movement of the energy here is really moving us all into this place of unity with our Source, which we've all had a relationship with at one time in a very deep way, and we've lost that identity through being caught up with the stuff here, thinking this is all real, and it's all just such an illusion. None of it's real. It's all just such a fantasy. Even I get caught up sometimes because it's such a strong force, but you have to realize it's all just here for play. And it's part of the shift, with this thing with the money and the thing with our finances, all that. It's, we never knew how to count. We never knew how to do math. In fact, it was considered back many, many years ago as part of the occult to be able to actually write and read. We didn't know how to do that in the very beginning. We trusted Source for everything. We were simple. It was pure. It was so much more purity. But once we started calculating and doing all these analyses, and then greed set in, and percentages and inflation and all that, it's just such a lie. We have the resources. The only thing that stops us is the programming in our mind that, oh, you can't give this much out because then you'll lose that much. There's nothing to lose. Everything we have, you give, and you always get more. And you have to get to this place and align to really have this understanding. And that's like with the things that's going on with our resources right now. Everybody's, oh, Wall Street's crashing, all that, but there's still plenty. And everybody's so wrapped up in we're losing this and we're losing that, and there's still, I mean, it's numbers on paper. That does it really mean anything? Does it really mean anything if you lose this or lose that? I mean, really, where's the balancing? There should be a constant giving and a constant being able to give continually. There's a constant resource, constantly. And we've limited ourselves because of our programming that we can't do that because then this will be, out of balance. But what's out of balance is the fact that you've got a piece of paper and a pencil that you're calculating all these percentages and all these inflation. It's all BS. And I think people have really gotten caught up with all these analyses, and it's all an illusion. I know people that aren't awake are going to think this kind of thought is crazy. This kind of thought is just ridiculous. That it's not. It's incoherent. But what's incoherent? Letting people starve because somebody might not be able to pay for their second real estate or whatever. It doesn't even mean that the real estate won't be there. It's the fact that you're always thinking someone's coming out ahead and someone's lacking. But there's no lack. There's nothing but continual providence, continual abundance. And we've limited ourselves through, they call it the bread of shame, that we haven't been able to work for it because that's the way we've been programmed. We haven't been able to work for it. We haven't been able to do enough to justify that we should be able to receive it. But it's freely given. It's not something we have to work for. It's freely given because it's love unconditional. And it's such a state of being that people need to get there. Unconditional love. It's just like all this fighting over property, fighting over wars, over property, over land. It's ridiculous. You know how much land we have in this world? There's land everywhere, land that's not even being utilized and used. And people are having wars over land. Another thing I wanted to talk about, which Source has given me kind of something to say about, is terrorism. These people that are coming out of the woodwork and killing supposedly for no reason. And what Source has showed me is a lot of them have just been hurt. There's just pain, unhealed pain from something that traumatic happened to them. Maybe someone bombed their house back when they were a child. Or maybe something happened in a war zone where something came in and took away a loved one. And there's a hidden, unhealed place inside of many, many people. And that's why there's wars, and that's why there's terrorism. I don't think it's these people are intentionally just wanting to kill just for... I mean, if they have a taste to kill, can you imagine that kind of demon? We all have our own darkness. We have all our own things we have to work through, Can you imagine having a taste for blood and it actually feels good? I mean, for me, it's like not any better than the taste for anything else that is of the dark, that is out of balance in the sense of the hammer. Are we going to build a house or are we going to hit someone in the head with it? The dark will always be there, but how are we going to utilize this energy? Are we going to utilize it to cause harm, or are we going to utilize it to rebuild? It's just crazy. It's like having enough is having enough. There's plenty here. I think about all the wars that happened, over the Temple Mount. And according to the Zohar, it's not about the piece of property. It says the temple is not a physical temple. The third temple that's supposed to be built is the temple within our own heart. And where have these rabbis have gotten this poor teaching? Is it just out of greed? Is it again the religiosity that has taken over, the evilness of that? Programming of fear? Somebody's going to take something that's not yours? It has nothing to do with land. It has to do with your own relationship with Source within you. If you don't have that, you have nothing. That's our true riches. When you're plugged into that, you have everything. It's the $1 million prize, whatever you want to call it. Humans are always so about leveling stuff out, like who's going to have more than me. We all have access to it. Are you willing to do the work to get there? You know, it's a delicate balance, you know. It's so easy to get caught up in this thing of this physical reality, which is just such a joke. It's not even, I mean, we're here and we're supposed to enjoy each other and love each other, forgive one another. We're so afraid somebody's going to take something that's ours. Well, they wouldn't if they had their own, if they weren't denied of their own, and if they were healed. I mean, you think about, I go back to the terrorism, you know, you think about somebody losing a brother or sister in their arms because of war, because somebody came in and killed them. And then through the ages, it just escalates, it just keeps escalating. And it's all hereditary, from someone killing my great-great-grandfather and being a subject that watched it happen when you're like 10 years old or 14 years old and you watch this happen. You grow up with bitterness. You grow up with revenge. You grow up with a vigilante attitude. And it must be healed so we can move on into this new world, into this new earth, one of love, one of forgiveness, one of unconditional love. And the only way we can do that is to first love and forgive ourselves. You have to do the work. If you don't do the work, we're not going to get there. And it's what Source wants. I wouldn't be here speaking like this, speaking candidly and open about all these crazy things that have happened to me. There's so many things that have happened to me that I know that Source wants to rebuild on a foundation of unconditional love. It's the only way we're going to do this thing. And anybody that's in the way, Source is going to remove one way or another. And it's happening now. People are dying left and right. People are losing everything. Things are falling apart. And there's a lot of people growing now. There's a lot of people really grabbing onto this thing of awakening and finding out who they truly are, that we're more than all the stuff. And the stuff is fine. It's just we've just put it out of balance. There's nothing wrong with having your homes, your beautiful homes and your fancy cars and all the money you want. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just we've had to hire in people to protect our stuff. That's when it becomes out of balance. It's like we're so fearful someone's going to take something, but there's plenty for everybody. And if those people that are doing the theft, doing the damage, are not getting their share, of course they're going to come in. Why don't they get their share? Everybody should be allowed to have and have plenty to what makes them comfortable, what makes them happy. Shouldn't be the way it's been. love you guys. I see so clearly, and I watch the world, and it's just so chaotic. It's so backwards to the way it should be. And the only way we can get there is for all of us to go within ourselves and heal those areas. You know, I'll do what it takes to protect my land. I'll do what it takes to protect my property. I'll do what it takes to protect my country. So why do you have to protect anything? It's already done. You're the one that's causing more of the dissension by that state of being, by the way you think. Instead of knowing that you're protected, knowing that you're loved, you don't have to do any of that. Allow others, give them space to heal, give them space, forgive. Give yourself space. Be kind to yourself. Take care of yourself. Because you're the temple. You're the third temple that's being built. Pamper yourself. Do what it takes to feel good. Eat better. Love more. Forgive easier. And when someone does you wrong, you don't have to agree with everybody. We're not going to agree with each other, but we can love one another and respect one another in the sense of just backing off and saying, okay, you do it your way, I'm going to do it my way. And trust and believe that if they come towards you or cause any harm, that they will be rebuked by Source. Source will take care of you. Source will provide the protection you need. It's hard to do until you heal and you realize when you have a relationship with this unseen source, and people can look at me and think I'm crazy, but you go to church every Sunday and pray and you don't believe this? Who's crazy? Why even bother if you don't believe? And it's not religion. Religion is the furthest, it's the worst culprit there is because it's so deceptive. It's so deceptive. Some of it's good, a lot of it's just keeps us all divided, separated. Just like I think about this thing in Iran, killing a little 22-year-old woman because she didn't have her headdress on correctly. What man, what was going on in his head to think that that was justified? What kind of pain did he have from another woman in his life, or something happened in childhood that made him think that that was justified? That's what it goes back to. It's not in the here and now. These are wounded people acting out viciously because that's what we've been taught. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, really? So many deceptive teachings. This transition is going to be difficult, I know, for some people that don't want to let go. But it will be painful for them. It should be easy. According to the Zohar, this is supposed to come in with ease and grace. It's supposed to come in with joy. It's supposed to come in with, that's all you're asked to do, is to find your own happiness and not worry about everybody else. People are afraid, well, what do I do? I won't have a job. I won't have a job to kill people. I won't have a job to protect my country. There's so many other things we can be doing. New things are going to come about. Things that you really love. Maybe you've got a gift that you should be using. Doing something that is productive, something that makes you really happy inside. Most of us just do it because it's a job. Source is doing it, and it's all going to come out the way it's supposed to. And I'm just a mouthpiece, whether you get it or not. Maybe some will get it, some won't. I know many ridicule me and probably say things about me that's not true, but I know who I am. I wouldn't be able to have left all that I've loved and do this if I didn't have the strength of something within me. That's how I know I'm from another planet. And you have these crazy ideas of what aliens are, and there's so much more than that. I don't know where you got that. I guess people want to put some kind of a physical thing on what it is, and I guess without these bodies, we'd just be just a blob of energy, really. Maybe that's why people want to put eyes on it and ears on it. And it's funny. We're just a source of energy, like spark. I love you all. I wish you all the best. Be strong. Oh.